Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa on Manifestation Monday. We're so honored to have Megan Fenyoe in the house. She is a transformational coach, author of You Are Enough, and up from San Diego.
Yes.
How are you, gorgeous?
I'm good. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks
so
for coming
excited.
in. We're so excited.
So this is a conversation we have here often about the concept of being enough. In fact, you mentioned affirmations at the top of the show, and mine is that I have and always will be everything I need to accomplish my goals and fulfill the desires of my heart. How do you convince me to believe that?
That is a good question. I love that we're starting off this way. I share my story of being in a very narcissistic, abusive marriage, and when I was in my struggle and how I never felt like I was enough because of the things that happened. And it wasn't until I closed that chapter, I was never going to get closure from him, but it was until I closed that chapter of who I became when I was with him that allowed me to start working these steps to believe that I was enough. So I can tell you, oh, you're enough, right? But you're not going to believe that. And so it's really about self-discovery and finding your true self and your true passion and your true purpose, and finding those little nuggets, those what I call grounding skills that are going to keep you grounded, focused, and helping you just overcome those negative thoughts, right? And those limiting self-beliefs.
And keep you grounded irrespective of the relationship you're in, right?
So what I'm hearing you say is that it's really about healing, heal thyself, and the affirmation, the mantra, or whatever it is that you're working on will just be already known in mind, is what you're saying. Yeah,
definitely. Yes.
Interesting. You know, I know you talked about being in a relationship with narcissists, and I think it's a fascinating conversation. I want you to speak on this because I too was in a relationship that I felt like I was a victim for a long time, and then once I really started awakening from it, I realized like, okay, someone can do something kind of to you one time, but then if you stay, you really can't be a victim. You know. Right. So how do you play into that? How do you heal somebody from the victim mentality?
And we all play that role, right? And I'm a mental health therapist. I've been doing therapy for over 15 years. And when I was in the midst of this abuse, I didn't realize it was going on. And I did play the victim role for a while. And it really wasn't until I started discovering myself, saying goodbye to this person, and taking control of my story. And it's a hard process. It can take years to do that. But it's really about saying enough is enough. And I am not going to be the victim, and taking it through that process. So I have a lot of clients that are in that, realm right now of being the victim, and just going and talking about it and figuring out what does it truly mean for you to be enough, and what story is keeping you stuck in the moment, and working through closing that story.
I love this. So let's say a person is maybe in the midst of or closing, or ending sort of a narcissistic relationship or any relationship that's just not serving them. Where would you tell them to start in terms of practical steps relative to self-discovery? Where do they start?
Well, I love that question. And one of the reasons I wrote the book is because it's really about self-help. So we always go and get self-help books when our hearts hurt. And with the book here, I pose journal questions so that you're not just reading it and putting it down, you're actually starting that process of rediscovering yourself. So definitely figuring out what's going to work for you. And sometimes you do need to have a coach or a therapist or accountability person that's going to keep you focused on working through your emotions and the things that are going on. So definitely just jumping in and starting, whether it be self-help or anything.
Yeah.
So I have a question actually. It's interesting because I've worked with quite a few people that are either therapists or clinical psychologists, and they have an issue because they can only practice in their state. But now you are a coach. So help because there's people that will be watching that are interested in psychology, but their licenses will limit them doing stuff online. How does that work for you?
So I'm licensed actually in Michigan and California. So a lot of my therapy is face-to-face, but with my coaching, it's a little bit more specialized, and I do like teletherapy. So I have clients all over the country where we just jump on a Zoom and do video chat. And so it is difficult when it comes to the therapy piece.
Right? I mean, there's so many people that give like my sister, she's extraordinary, like she is an extraordinary counselor, and she can only practice and understand. This is a shame. Coaches can do whatever, and therapists are bound to their state.
And that's one reason why I moved to the mindset coaching. I still have my private practice, but with the mindset coaching, it's more specific, where with mental health, you're doing a lot of maybe rebuilding from your past or childhood, and with the coaching program, it's more specific. And then, I can do coaching wherever, which is one of the reasons why I decided to kind of jump into the coaching field.
Yeah,
So,
nice.
And I'm wondering, what have you learned about yourself in this process of self-discovery?
Oh, this is my favorite question. So I'm very authentic. It's one of my values. And what I was saying before the show is I started writing this book when I walked away from this abusive marriage. And so that was in February. And so I was involved, even though we were divorced, involved in this for 6 years. And there just came a point where I said enough is enough. So this book was my saving grace. This book was written when I was at the lowest of my low through my own trauma in February. And so it was something that was so real to me. And this was what helped me through this process. And so I wrote it, and it was published in August. So it has been the most difficult project of my life, but the most transformational. And so rediscovering myself for me, was saying, I accept that the past happened. There's nothing I can do about it. But here and in this moment, I am no longer going to allow him or anyone to control my life and to control my story. And so rediscovering myself included reevaluating my values. That's a huge piece, because I had lost everything about myself, my values, what I believed in myself. On the outside, everything looked great. I made it look everything great, but I'm in between patients on the floor crying, and so it was just rediscovering and saying goodbye to that person that I became when I was with him. So it was huge.
So tell people where they can find you and work with you.
Yes, definitely. So I am on Facebook, Megan Fenyoe. I also host a podcast called the Blonde Bombshell Podcast, and we're having Dr. Erin on this week. Super excited. So Facebook, my website, just meganfenyoe.com. My book is on Amazon, ebook, printed, all that good stuff. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all
Thank
your
you so
transformational
much.
work. Everyone needs this work. We all are enough, and it's the core thing that we always find with every patient. So, yeah. Thank you.
And everyone
guys.
loves a blonde bombshell. Right?
3 right here.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning La La Land.